Hey guys, Trent here again at Black Horse Ranch. Hey, I just wanted to run through the numbers on this tank De-Icer for you real quick, just for cost, and then I just wanted to show you how efficient the pump actually is on energy. So let's just go through. I'll take you on the power side. I'll take you from the pump, I guess from where we plug the pump in, and I'll just kind of go down the line of parts, and then we'll talk about the housing that we built. Okay, so the first thing on the list is the thermocube. So that was the little device that shuts the power off when it goes above 35 degrees. And that was $9.99 on Amazon. Okay, and then the second thing we had would be the cord cap for the power supplies. The power supply just comes with wires, leads basically, and so you got to put those into a cord cap so you can plug it into the thermocube. So the cord cap, I think you can get for about $1.50. I'm pretty sure that's what I got these ones for. I've had this one for a while. I think Harbor Freight sells them for fairly cheap. And then we've got the power supply next. So I got a 150 watt power supply because I was going to run 2 pumps off of it. The pumps are about 41 watts. I'll show you later. So 2 pumps were just over 80 watts, and I just wanted to be sure I had enough juice. So for 1 pump, you really don't need that big of a power supply. And so this was an IP68, again, waterproof power supply, so it's mounted just outside, not in an enclosure or anything. So my power supply was $35. So one that's a bit smaller will be quite a bit cheaper, so maybe $20 to $25 I would guess. And then waterproof connectors I got on eBay, and those are basically these little connectors. They're IP68 rated, so they're submersible, and they just have a threaded coupling here, and there's a female and a male, so it comes with 5 pairs of these. There's a little gasket in here that squishes when you tighten the coupler together, and so one end of that is soldered onto the power supply, and the other end is soldered onto the pump. So I've got the old pump here that I took off. So I've got that soldered on here, and I've got the extra. I added 10 feet of extra wire, and then there's another soldered connection there, and then the pump. So those connectors that I got those off of eBay, and those were $9.99 for 5 pairs. So that's 5 sets of male and female. So that'll do more than 1 pump, but we'll just write down the $9.99. And then the submersible heat shrinks that I got. So you'll have on each pump you'll have 3 of those. So I just used 1 heat shrink per 2 wires for the submersible one. So inside of there, I actually soldered the 2 wires, and then I put heat shrink on them, and then I put the submersible heat shrink over both wires. And so you could wrap them in electrical tape. The key is just that you make sure that they don't touch inside that heat shrink, but this heat shrink will water seal it good enough. And then I had this extra wire. It's a cable that's 2 pairs of 18 gauge wire. And that's what I used. So 10 feet was way too long for this application, but that's what I picked because I didn't know what our setup was going to be. Okay, so the waterproof heat shrinks for a 4-pack was $5.95. And I believe that was on Amazon. Okay, and then the wires, I didn't buy the wire, but I went on eBay, and actually 50 feet of wire was $12.95. So you could do, I mean, if you use 10 feet per pump like I did, you could do 5 pumps with this. And then the bilge pump was the last thing as far as the pump is concerned, and that was $24.45 for 1. And I think I mentioned they were $18 or something in the video. So these numbers I all checked, they're accurate. This pump is a Tsunami, that's the name of it. It's made by Atwood. It's a T800, and it is 3 amps at 13.6 volts DC, and then it's 550 gallons per hour. This pump is the one that I found. I'd mentioned before that I found this guy that made these kits that you could buy. I looked and looked online. I looked on YouTube. I looked everywhere. I'm sure I found it going through YouTube because he had videos, but I can't find that guy's pump or website anywhere, because I wanted to tell you guys what that was if you wanted to buy one. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but he used these same pumps, and there's a couple cool features about them. The base pops off so you can mount them, and then it also has a replaceable motor cartridge. So this top part pops out, and you can replace them. You can replace the motor out of these pumps if they go bad or overheat or something. And I believe it has a 5/8 inch output on it for the hose. So as far as the pump goes, that's pretty much everything. I guess I could throw in here the hose. So I had that little short piece of hose and the hose clamp to hold that on, and that's really going to be pretty cheap. So I mean, we could say I have $1.50 on here for the hose, but I mean, if we put $3 on there for the hose and hose clamp, that should more than cover it. So I'm going to erase this, and then I'll go through the sheet metal and stuff like that as well. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, you can shoot me a comment or something, and I'll give you more information, or I can email you or whatever. To make the little mount that we made to hook on the side of the tank, so the sheet metal, again, I had that. But if you were going to buy it, again, I found some stuff online. So for a 36 inch by 48 inch piece, which is plenty to do one pump, you're looking at $18. The aluminum screen that I got, it was like 84 by 48. I mean, a huge piece. So again, that's way more. That'll do a whole bunch of pumps. And that was fairly cheap as well. So the aluminum screen was $8, and I just got that at Home Depot, so that's pretty easy find. Sheet metal screws, again, you're probably going to find a better price if you actually go to a store, but I looked online. Sheet metal screws for 100. I don't remember the size, but they were long enough. I think they were 3/8 of an inch long enough to penetrate the metal and secure the pump to the base. So for 100 sheet metal screws, it was $5 online. So if we total all this up, I erased the previous stuff, but if you were to buy this all new, and I itemized this on a per pump basis, so like, you know, there was a 5-pack of connectors, you know, the sheet metal's too big, but basically if you took the value of all this stuff on a per pump basis, you're looking at $68, about $69, we'll just say. So since I had a bunch of this stuff, I mean, it only cost me $60. $69, if you look at what a 1250 watt tank De-Icer, so like a tank heater would be, for 100 gallons, they recommend 1250 watts for a tank heater. So I found one of those online for $33. So if we look at that, was going to be $33. Okay, so you can see this pump setup costs more than $33. It's a little more than double if you're going to buy everything from scratch. But what gets really interesting is the money that you save. So if we get into the numbers here on power consumption, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. So I mentioned before that pump, that little Tsunami pump, was 3 amps at 13.6 volts DC. So if we use our going back to high school electronics to get watts, we multiply amps times volts, and so that's rounded. That's about 41 watts. Now just remember, our tank heater that we were talking about is 1250 watts. Okay, so it's quite a difference. So now if we just look at this closer, so to get kilowatt hours, you multiply your watts times the number of hours a day, it'll be in use. So just assuming that this runs 24 hours a day, for the pump, we're at 0.9, almost 1, that's kilowatt hours per day. And with the tank heater, we're at 30 kilowatt hours per day. Okay, so you can start to see how things start to add up. Now, if we look at the cost per day, in Idaho we have pretty cheap power. It's about 9 cents a kilowatt hour. So if we multiply this times 9 cents a kilowatt hour, I mean, we're basically multiplying it by 1. So that's 9 cents a day basically. And if we look at the tank heater, that's about $2.70 per day. Okay, so you see quite a bit of difference if we look at a month. So to run the pump, $2.66 a month. And then the tank heater, we're at $81 a month. And then if we look at for the season, that's where you really start to see the benefits. I did 4 months, so if you're running continuously for 4 months, $10.63 per season. And for the tank heater, you're at $324 per season. Okay, so you can see the disparity here. Huge difference in cost to run. Now this is just one pump. What if you had 4 or 5 of these out there? I mean, your electric bill would skyrocket in the winter. And we've had this at the last farm we were at. We had tank heaters for everything. We probably had 3 or 4 of them out there, and the electric bill skyrocketed. So this is no joke here. But the great thing about this is we're talking DC. So I'm running this off of a 12-volt power supply, and you're only talking 41 watts. So one of the great things about this is you can go solar on this little unit here. In Midvale here, we have a lot of fog, and so I don't know that we could make up the difference charging a battery. We could probably make it last for a while on solar and just charge a battery out there, but then you gotta take into consideration the cost of your battery. You probably, if you're not in a good sunlight area, you probably have to have 2 batteries and then like, you know, a 100-watt solar panel. But anyway, you could have this isolated. You don't have to have power run out to it. If you know, you need to get it set up to where the cows don't mess with your solar system. But you could go solar on this. I just wanted to throw that out there, guys, and this is the main reason why I did this project, was to save money. And so even though it was a little trial and error of stuff to try to get it working, in the end it's going to be worth it. And now that I know how to do it, the next time I go through the process, I can make them for whatever pumps we have. And then if I ever go solar, I'll do another project on this and show you how that goes. But thanks for watching, thanks for sticking with it, and hope this is helpful to you.